Hello students, welcome to our fourth module of class 8 history, our past 3, the making of the national movement 1870s to 1947. In this module, we will discuss about the civil disobedience movement and the Quit India movement. So let us begin. Dandi March and the civil disobedience movement. Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement or the Salt Satyagraha as it was commonly known on 12th of March 1930. It mainly involved breaking of salt laws because salt affected all sections of society. This law prohibited the Indians from manufacturing or selling salt. Instead, they were forced to buy salt that was expensive and heavily taxed. This adversely affected the masses. Together with his 78 chosen followers, Gandhi walked from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on the Gujarat sea coast. Here, he and his followers made salt in violation of the salt law. This act of disobedience was a symbol of the Indian people's refusal to live under the British rule. As a result of the civil disobedience movement, there were mass demonstrations, boycott of foreign goods, and closure of wine shops throughout the country. A notable feature of this movement was that thousands of women picketed the shops selling foreign clothes and liquor. In northwest frontier province, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Frontier Gandhi, organized a society of Khudai Khidmatgars or servants of God. They were also known as the Red Shirts. They pledged themselves to non-violence and India's freedom struggle. The government used all kinds of repressive measures to break the nationalist movement. The Satyagrahis were lathi-charged and bullets were showered on unarmed crowds of men and women. All the important Congress leaders were imprisoned and the Congress was declared an illegal body. Meanwhile, the first round table conference was held in London from 16th of November 1930 to 19th January 1931. The Congress boycotted this conference. Not much could be done at the conference in the absence of the Congress. Therefore, it was decided to call for a second round table conference. Viceroy Lord Irwin and Mahatma Gandhi negotiated a settlement in March 1931, famously known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The government agreed to release all political prisoners except those guilty of violence. The Congress suspended the civil disobedience movement and agreed to take part in the second round table conference. Mahatma Gandhi went to London to participate in the second round table conference as the sole representative of the Congress. The conference devoted most of its time to the problem of representation of minorities in the legislature. The question of country's freedom receded into the background. Gandhiji returned to India as a disappointed person. Meanwhile, the World War II broke out in September 1939. The British government wanted India to support it in its war against Germany. The Congress made it clear that India could not involve herself in war unless declared free or at least effective power was granted to Indian legislature. No satisfactory assurance came from the British government in this regard. The Congress ministries therefore resigned towards the end of October 1939. Now let us discuss about the Pakistan resolution. Under Muhammad Ali Jinnah's leadership, the Muslim League at its Lahore session in 1940 passed a resolution declaring the Muslims as a separate nationality. In other words, a definite demand for the partition of India was made. Gandhiji, Abul Kalam Azad and other nationalist leaders did not accept the logic behind this demand, but the British government gave all encouragement to Muslim League and this separatist demand. On 7th of December 1941, Japan attacked the Pearl Harbor, the American naval base in the Hawaii Island. Japan overran many countries of Southeast Asia and also captured Rangoon in 1942. The Second World War thus reached the very border of India. The British government got alarmed. It decided to send Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the British cabinet, to India to secure India's help and cooperation in their war effort. The Congress demanded the immediate transfer of power to the Indians. However, Cripps assured that after the war, India would be given dominion status, the same status as the other dominions like Canada and Australia had. The Congress rejected the Cripps proposal. Failure of the CRIPPS mission and the Japanese trade were the two important factors that led to the launch of the Quit India movement by the Congress. Mahatma Gandhi decided to initiate a new phase of movement against the British in the middle of the Second World War. The British must quit India immediately, he told them. To the people he said, do or die in your effort to fight the British, but you must fight non-violently. Gandhiji and other leaders were jailed at once, but the movement spread. It especially attracted peasants and the youth who gave up their studies to join it. Communications and symbols of state authority were attacked all over the country. In many areas, the people set up their own governments. The first response of the British was severe repression. By the end of 1943, over 90,000 people were arrested and around 1,000 killed in police firing. In many areas, orders were given to machine gun crowds from airplanes. The rebellion, however, ultimately brought the Raj to its knees. Meanwhile, after the failure of the cabinet mission, the Muslim League decided on mass agitation for winning its Pakistan demand. It announced 16th of August 1946 as Direct Action Day. On this day, riots broke out in Calcutta, lasting several days and resulting in the death of thousands of people. By March 1947, violence spread to different parts of northern India. Many 100,000 people were killed and numerous women had to face untold brutalities during the partition. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes, torn asunder from their homelands. They were reduced to being refugees in alien lands. Partition also meant that India changed, many of its cities changed, and a new country, Pakistan, was born. So the joy of our country's independence from British rule came mixed with the pain and violence of partition. The Indian Independence Act was passed by the British Parliament on 15 July 1947. It received the royal assent on 18 July. Pakistan was to comprise East Bengal, West Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and Northwest Frontier Province. India was to comprise all the remaining territories included in the British India. So finally, on 15th of August 1947, India got its independence from the British rule. Let us summarize what we have learned today. In 1930, Gandhiji started the march to break the salt law. Mahatma Gandhi decided to initiate a new phase of movement against the British in the middle of the Second World War, which was Quit India movement. In 1945, after the end of the war, the British opened negotiations between the Congress, the League and themselves for the independence of India. Let us see what you have grasped today. Here are some questions for you. Your question number 1 is, when was the civil disobedience movement launched by Gandhiji? And the options are A. 1928, B. 1929, C. 1930 or D. 1931. And the correct answer is C. 1930. The second question is, the first roundtable conference was held in, and the options are A. London, B. Bombay, C. Calcutta or D. Madras. And the correct answer is A. London. Your third question is, the slogan Do or Die was given by Dash, and the options are A. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, B. Mahatma Gandhi, C. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan or D. Subhash Chandra Bose. And the correct answer is B. Mahatma Gandhi. The fourth question is, India got independence from the British rule in the year, and the options are A. 1945, B. 1946, C. 1947 or D. 1948. And the correct answer is C. 1947. It's practice time now, and here is some homework for you. The question number 1 is, when was the Gandhi-Irwin Pact signed? The question number 2 is, what did Muslim League resolution of 1940 ask for? The question number 3 is, why did Gandhiji choose to break the salt law? And the question number 4 is, why was the Quit India movement launched and when? In our next module, we will move to India after independence. Till then, take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.